They say the happiest couples never see it coming. That's a lie. I believed, right up until the exact second my husband flinched, like I'd pulled the gun on him just because I reached for his phone to check the time. Not snooping. Not accusing. Just checking the time. And in that split second, I watched three emotions flicker across his face. Terror, relief, guilt. If you've ever seen someone get caught mid-crime, you know that look. So let me ask you something real quick, Nosh. How well do you actually know the person sleeping next to you? Because 5 minutes before everything exploded, I would have bet my entire life savings on the wrong answer. Mark and I, we were that annoying couple. 15 years married, no drama, no mess. The must be nice marriage. Turns out I wasn't living in a love story. I was living in this setup for a crime scene. And the wild part, my husband didn't just cheat. He moved his mistress and his secret kid into my house and had the nerve to call it doing the right thing. Yeah, buck up, because the way he sold this lie was so clean, so manipulative. You might realize someone's playing you right now and not even know it yet. It started on a random Tuesday. Mark walked in with that fake, concerned face he uses when he wants to look like a hero. The furrowed brow, the heavy sigh, I hate to be the good guy, but Boster. He told me about a woman at work, her name's Elena. He said she just escaped an abusive relationship. She's got a little boy, nowhere to go, sleeping in her car. Then he hit me with the emotional nuke. Sarah, it's November. I can't let a 4-year-old sleep in a sedan. We have the guest wing, just for a month, just until she gets on her feet. And listen, that's how they get you. They don't come at you with evil. They come at you with empathy. So I said yes. I washed the sheets, bought new pillows, even grabbed a dinosaur nightlight for the kid because I didn't want him to be scared in a new place. I was preparing a safe haven for the woman who was already wrecking my life behind my back. Then Alina showed up. First, red flag. She didn't look homeless. Her hair was done. Nails are perfect. Outfit clean. Energy calm/confidence. Almost territorial. Second red flag. The way Mark looked at her. Not like a boss helping an employee. Not like a decent human being helping someone down on her luck. No. Look was familiar, comfortable, intimate, like someone finally walking into their second life. I brushed it off, because that's what loyal people do. We gaslight ourselves before accusing the person we love. But then came the small stuff. Elena didn't ask where things were. She just knew. On day 3, I walked into the kitchen and she was using my favorite mug, the one Mark knows I use every morning. Well, Mark said you wouldn't mind. She smiled. Mark said that became the phrase that haunted my house. Mark said she could use the playroom. Mark said she could take my car. Mark said we don't need privacy in our own home anymore. And then there was the kid, that sweet little boy. But the way he looked at Mark, that wasn't how kids look at strangers. And the way Mark cut his pancakes, same rhythm, same care he used when our daughter was little. Muscle memory doesn't lie. I tried to joke one night. Leo kinda looks like you, Mark, same chin. Dead silence. Mark snapped at me. Not laughed at, not playful, angry. That's when I felt it. That cold drop in your stomach when your reality cracks. I didn't know the full truth yet, but I knew one thing. Something evil had just been invited into my house. And I was the one who opened the door. What I found next didn't just prove he was cheating. It proved my entire marriage was a setup, and I was living with the evidence. Suspicion is a sickness. It creeps into your sleep, wrecks your appetite, makes your own house feel haunted. By week 2, I wasn't living in my home anymore. I was stalking my own life. Every laugh between them felt too close. Every whisper felt rehearsed. Every time Mark said you're overthinking, it sounded like a confession in disguise. Here's the part nobody tells you. When someone gets away with a big lie, they start getting sloppy with the small ones. And Mark got sloppy, because the lie he told me that Friday night wasn't just dumb. It was the one that finally handed me the keys to his entire double life. Friday night, Mark kissed my forehead and hit me with, "Big merger at work. Gonna be late. Don't wait up." 10 minutes later, Elena walked downstairs in a tight dress, an expensive perfume. "I'm meeting a friend for drinks," she said. "My mom's picking up Lee Alfring." "Yasha." I smiled like a clueless houseplant and said, "Have fun." Then I waited. waited until our Uber left, counted to 600. Then I grabbed my keys. I didn't follow her. I didn't have to. I opened our joint credit card app. Nothing. That's when I remembered Mark's business expense account, the one I wasn't supposed to have access to. Years ago, during a refinance, he gave me the password to upload tax docs. He never changed it, because men like Mark don't think of their wives as threats. They think of us as furniture. So I logged in. There it was. An Uber charge from 10 minutes ago. Not Elena's account. Mark's single quotes, S. Then a dinner reservation at the Ridley, that candlelit Italian place people go to propose, not to discuss mergers. My chest went tight. My hands started shaking. But I didn't rage text. I didn't cry. I drove. I parked across the street and looked through the rain-streaked window. And there they were. Not co-workers, not friends, not confused, holding hands, foreheads touching. Then he kissed her like he loved her. Not a mistakey kiss. A practiced kiss. I didn't confront them. I didn't cause a scene. I drove home in silence. Because I didn't need drama. I needed evidence. The house felt contaminated. When I walked in, Leo was gone. Their laughter still echoed in the walls. I went into the guest room. Rummaging through someone's stuff feels gross, but when someone steals your life, you stop playing polite. Under a stack of sweaters, I found a small metal lockbox. The code dials were worn. 0-5-1-8. May 18th. That wasn't her birthday, wasn't Mark's either, but Leo had just turned 4. I tried the code. Click. Inside wasn't jewelry, it was paperwork, a birth certificate, Father Mark Anthony Davis. My knees gave out. I slid down the wall like I'd been shot. This wasn't an affair. This was a second family. I flipped through the rest. A lease agreement, an apartment Mark had been paying for years. He didn't move her in because she was struggling. He moved her in because he was tired of paying rent. He didn't just cheat. He downsized his lies and moved them into my house to save money. 4.5 years ago, I was in the hospital after a miscarriage, crying over the baby we lost while he was out creating another one. That's when the crying stopped and something cold slid into place. Not heartbreak. Focus. Not sadness. Strategy. Because I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I didn't expose him. I did something way more dangerous. If you're watching this story, tighten your blanket and hit the like button so YouTube understands you want the next chapter unlocked. End. Tell me in the comments, which beautiful country are you watching from? And what's the exact time there right now? Here's the part nobody warns you about. When your heart breaks, your brain gets sharp. Not emotionally sharp, creditor sharp. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't even change my tone. I smiled because rage is loud, but revenge moves in silence. And the plan I started building that night, it didn't just end his affair. It erased the life he was living in my house. I put the lockbox back exactly where I found it, smoothed the sweaters, left the guest room looking untouched. Then I went to our bedroom, washed my face, and waited. Mark came in around midnight, smelling like wine and lies. He leaned down, kissed my forehead like everything was normal. Long night, he said. Merger. Steph, I looked him dead in the eye and smiled. You worked so hard for us. That smile almost broke my jaw. For the next 2 weeks, I became invisible. Not sad, not angry, agreeable. Psychologists call it gray rock. I call it playing dead. So the predator gets comfortable. I let Elena use my car. I laughed at Mark's jokes. I cooked dinner like nothing was wrong. And while they thought I was broken, I was loading a weapon. First stop, a lawyer, not a messy one, a surgical one. Turns out when your spouse secretly uses marital money to fund a whole second family, that's called dissipation of assets. Translation. Every dollar Mark spent on Elena and Leo, he owed it back to me. Then came the house. Mark loved calling it my castle. Funny thing about castles, sometimes the king doesn't own the land. 15 years ago, my grandfather helped with the down payment, but the trust agreement said the deed stayed in my name alone until our 20th anniversary. We were in year 15, legally. Mark was a guest, Elena, and her son, Trespassers. Then I went nuclear. I hired a forensic accountant, printed every receipt, trips, hotels, rent, dinners he called, work travel. And then I called HR at Mark's company. Not about the affair. Corporations don't care who you sleep with. I told them about the conflict of interest that Alina didn't just work near him. She worked for a vendor Mark approved contracts for. Meanie. He was funneling business to her company to boost her income. That's fraud. I was stacking evidence like bricks in a wall that was about to fall on his head. The hardest part, Dinah sitting across from the woman who stole my life, listening to her critique my cooking. Oh, Mark likes his steak rarer. She smirked. Don't you, babe? I smiled sweetly. You're right. I'll remember that. I did remember. I remembered everything. One night, Mark pulled me aside. You've been amazing with Alina and Leo. Not everyone would have this understanding. I looked at him and said, I just want everyone to be where they belong. He thought I meant my house. I meant the street. Then I picked the date. Mark's 40th birthday. Big party, friends, family, his boss, co-workers, neighbors. He wanted to show off his perfect life. I wanted to introduce everyone to the real one, because the gift I wrapped for his birthday, it wasn't a watch. It wasn't a letter. It was the truth. And it was about to detonate in front of everyone he ever lied to. There's something poetic about watching someone lose everything in the same room. They thought they were winning. Mark wanted a big 40th birthday party. He wanted applause. He wanted to flex his perfect life. So I gave him a stage, and the gift I handed him, in front of everyone, it didn't just expose the affair. It erased his entire future in one breath. The house was packed. 50 people. Laughter, music, drinks, clinking. Alina floated around like she owned the place, wearing a white dress, acting like the lady of the house. Mark had his arm around me, soaking up the attention. I tapped my glass, thought the room quieted. Mark, I said sweetly, 40 years is a big deal, so I got you something that represents the truth of who you are. I handed him a wrapped box. Open up. He peeled the paper. Inside, documents. He pulled out the first page. Leo's birth certificate. The color drained from his face. Gasps rippled through the room. Keep going, I said. Next page. The expired lease. Next. Hotel receipts. Next. Credit card statements. I stepped away from him like he was radioactive. I know about Alina. I know about your son. I know you've been funding a second life for 4 years without money. Alina dropped her wine glass. It's shattered. Mark stuttered. Sarah, this is everything. I cut in. I turned to the room. This house is legally mine. The deed is in my name. Mark is a guest, and his guest privileges are officially revoked. 2. Security. Guards stepped inside. You have 10 minutes to grab a bag, I told him. They'll escort you out. Mark tried to grab my arm. The guards grabbed him first. Then I turned to his boss. Oh, and Dave, check the third folder. It documents Mark funneling company contracts to Elena's firm. That's fraud. His boss didn't blink. Mark's single quotes, life, collapsed in real time. Job, gone. Marriage, dead. Reputation, ash. They dragged him out of his own party, while people he tried to impress stared in silence. Alina ran after him, dragging Leo, eyes full of panic. And just like that, the people who invaded my home were removed from it. Here's the twist no one saw coming. 3 months later, Mark tried to come back. Not to beg for me, to beg for the house. He lost his job. The charges stuck. Alina left when the money dried up. He knocked on my door with a duffel bag and regret on his face. I messed up, he whispered. I just want my life back. I looked at him through the glass. That was never your life, I said. It was mine. You were just a guest in it. Then I closed the door. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept the house, I got restitution, and I sleep better than I ever did married to Elia. So here's the real question for you. When your gut tells you something's off, are you going to ignore it to keep the peace, or are you going to dig and protect your future? Because the only thing worse than discovering a monster in your home is letting it stay there. If this story hits you in the chest, smash the like button so the algorithm pushes more real stories like this to people who need the warning. Subscribe for more true style betrayals, revenge stories, and jaw-dropping twists. You don't want to miss the next one.